Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Leadership Live. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and excited to be back hanging out with you again this week. As always, appreciate you joining in. Always welcome your comments and look forward to having a great show tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something really important, and it's really about making better decisions. You know, at the end of the day, as a business owner, your success is going to be based on the decisions you make. So, it's important for you to shift your paradigm and really think about what you're doing in your decisions based on being an entrepreneur or a business owner rather than being an employee. That can be difficult for a lot of people not familiar with entrepreneurship because, you know, you have the employee perspective. But if you're going to be successful as a business owner, you're going to need to make the right decisions as a business owner that may not be the same decisions that you would want to make as an employee. So, I think we're going to talk about some great stuff. Have a great guest tonight, Kory Kogon, and our topic is shifting paradigms to make better business decisions. So here we go, shifting paradigms to make the key to making better business decisions with Kory. And let me bring Kory on so you can meet her. Hey, Kory, good evening. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, how are you? Good to be here.
Excellent. So welcome. I'm excited about having you on the show. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share your knowledge and expertise with our audience.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Excellent. So, we've talked. But you're brand new to the audience. So it'd be great if you could take a few minutes and talk a little about your journey, some of the key milestones that got you to where you are now.
Well, thanks, Andrew. I'll hopefully not bore everybody with that. But I currently, first of all, if you can tell already, I have a New York accent, but I live in Tucson, Arizona, born and raised in New York. And I currently serve as the Vice President of Content Development for FranklinCovey. So one of the largest leadership and performance development companies in the world. My journey, I'm not a PhD, I'm not an MBA, I'm not any of those things. Grew up on the streets of New York, had a very strict mother, wanted me to work when I was young, get a job, etc., go to school, did all of that. And was in sales for quite a while, just sort of fell into it on the East Coast, and ultimately started training salespeople and ended up working for a franchise organization and taking over training for everybody there. Now, because that's the epitome of small business, right? So over the years, I ended up as vice president of worldwide operations for a global franchise organization. And our mission was to help businesses start up, grow, be profitable, all the things that you work on every day. And we were a FranklinCovey company. And so we really believed in some of the principles and the paradigms, things that Andrew already mentioned, and really helped our company grow. And so I've been with this company for 19 years. And I always say, I learned on the streets of New York, as our mother sort of set us up to do, to take the hard knocks and learn and survive and grow. So that's a little bit about me. I'm just delighted to be out here and helping people like yourself grow and develop and make money and have joy in your life.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So, definitely have a wealth of experience, and definitely working for a franchise really helps you really see, how business can and should be done in many cases, because the ultimate goal many times is to create a business that runs like a franchise. So,
Right.
And training's a key part of it. So you were integral to that. So definitely look forward to digging into that. But before we get started, we've got you here, but we do the show through the Small Business Pro University. It's one of our brain trust initiatives as a way to really help to achieve our message. So I'm going to play a short video about the university, and then we'll be back with Kory Kogon talking small business. Many small businesses experience low or no revenue growth, and the owners are not making enough money. I founded Small Business Pro University to help you break that cycle by empowering you with greater knowledge and enhanced skills to lead your organization more effectively. Over the past 15 years, I've collaborated with organizations like the Small Business Development Center, Rising Tide Capital, Empower the Village, NJMEP, Rutgers University, and SCORE to work one-on-one with over 1,000 business owners and teach tens of thousands of people about business. My experience includes serving as a naval officer, managing businesses, graduating from MIT, earning an MBA from NYU, and achieving the CFA designation, which has prepared me to accomplish my mission of helping 1,000,008 business owners to sell more, maximize profit, and finance growth by 2028. My vision is to create the ultimate business ecosystem for entrepreneurs. Small Business Pro University empowers entrepreneurs like you to run their businesses more professionally and create sustainable enterprises. We employ my proven proprietary Masterpreneur Playbook framework to guide your journey along the Masterpreneur path and facilitate your Masterpreneur evolution to work on your business and scale faster and easier. Small Business Pro University provides access to valuable resources, partnerships, and relationships that will help you to sell more, maximize profit, and finance growth. Our Masterpreneur initiatives include the Small Business Pro Network, 100+ expert-led multimedia courses, intensive training workshops, Spanish language training, Leadership Live at 8:05 live stream and podcast, in-person Power Breakfast events, and advisory coaching, consulting, and training services. Okay. All right. Welcome back. I'm here with Kory talking small business. We're going to talk a little bit about shifting paradigms, the key to making better business decisions. Before we dive into this, what is a paradigm and what does it mean to shift your paradigm?
Yeah, it's some big words in there, but lots of people know them in this day and age. And I'll tell you, I'll give you a real. I'll make people feel what a paradigm is, because what a paradigm is, if you've ever made an assumption where somebody said something to you, or you got an email, or you're talking to somebody, and you're like, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble," whether at home or at work or whatever, and then you learn, "Oh, no, I'm not in trouble. I got that wrong." Or you have a belief about something, and suddenly it's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that they, parked horizontally by the drugstore across 3 parking spots because they had a big problem that they had to solve." And so a paradigm is how we see the world. And we are sort of scripted from childhood to, how we were raised, our schooling, or all that. We're raised, and our brain takes these shortcuts and put things in our head where we create all of these assumptions, and that's our paradigm. And so when we say shifting paradigm, it's, are we able to step back, become aware of how we see the world, and sort of think about it and change it to something that might be more effective or useful. So you think about how we unconsciously respond to things. Those are paradigms that we're reacting to versus stepping back and thinking, how do I do something different?
Excellent. Okay, great explanation. And it's very important to do that in business and in life, especially now as we interact with more people from more cultures, from more places, due to the internet and technology. A lot of us don't have the same perspective. So learning how to do that is important. So now, there's a lot of decisions you have to make as a business owner. But generally, many times there's one or two key decisions that really make the difference between your success and failure. In many times, at least that's one of the things I've seen in terms of your strategy, how you go about growing your business, and moving forward. So now, when people are making decisions, is there a process that you recommend people utilize, or how should people approach making decisions?
Yeah, so it's such a good question, and there's a lot of things out there about decisions, and I've spent a lot of time working on neuroscience, neuro leadership, because all of us that are in business and small business, large business, we're knowledge workers. We're paid to think, to innovate, to create and execute, right? So ultimately out of that comes decisions. So we can look at some things like, oh, how do you make a good decision? But I like to take people into the, under the hood of the car, with some of this. And so again, I'm going to go back to how do you feel this in order to think about how do I make good decisions? So remember what I said before about how we unconsciously do things. And so here's another thing I want you to think about. Have you ever hit the send button and you wish you didn't? So you made a decision, right? Somebody sent you something, you got, again, and Andrew, you're right. I struggle when I point this way. If you can see me, it's because that's my home, and out there is the business world. So I struggle more with that at home. I'm more controlled, it seems, at work than I am at home. I'm not thinking. So I will let something out of my mouth, and I have to pay a price. And so I say, did you ever hit the send button, whether it's an email or Teams or Slack or whatever that you use, and wish you could take it back? Because the recall button doesn't work. And so we have, because we made an assumption, and then we go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have sent that. Maybe I got, I was angry, and now I calmed down. And we always say things like we should sleep on things. My favorite thing is, let me count to 10. Let me count to 10 and think about it. And how many times do we wake up and we go, ugh, I'm so glad I didn't make that decision last night. I'm glad I slept on it, because I'm going to approach those new employees differently today. Here's the key to the answer to your question. How do I make those decisions? Here's what Stephen Covey said that I have never forgotten. And remember, I'm a New Yorker that's lived outside of New York for many years. Not to stereotype New Yorkers, but I come from a family of, my family's still there, reactive people. We're reactive. We move. We use our hands a lot. We do all of those things. And I have had to take a step back and be really careful, about that. Here's the answer. counting to 10. And what Stephen said was, this is neurologic, this is a principle that the neurology has proven. There is a space between stimulus and response. And we have the freedom to choose that. And I think particularly in today's world, it's really important for us to think about that. There is this space between stimulus and response. And so when we have incoming things, whether it's, again, I have these new employees that do or don't know what they're doing. They got this bill, a customer is calling, whatever it might be. I get upset about something. How do we get very self-aware? And remember, there's a space between stimulus and response. I can choose my response. And so in making good decisions, let me step back, live in that space for a moment, count to 10, sleep on it, think about the outcome you want, and then choose your response. Last thing I'll say on this for now, it is not easy. It is some of the toughest mental gymnastics that you need to do because the world is pressing in on us. We're under pressure. Our cash, our everything, and we are just instinctively surviving. But this idea of self-awareness and space between stimulus and response, counting to 10, and thinking about where you really want to go and letting the adrenaline come back down, that's how you make good decisions.
Okay, excellent. So, definitely, it's easy to be in a rush.
It is.
And, sometimes moving too fast causes errors and mistakes and oversights. And I think we're all guilty of that at one time or another. I know I've sent like 1 million emails without the attachment. I always hate that. But so it's easy. And it seems like it's easy to shift your paradigm, or you assume, but many times we miss doing that. I do a exercise. I teach a class on business financing, and we go through it. But one of the most effective pieces of it is I do a trading places exercise. So I have 3 scenarios that we go through, and the participants have to be the lenders and the investors in the scenarios. And it's interesting how, like, when they're on that side of the fence, they like tear the person up. Where's your business plan? I don't know. And then I'm like, now what did you do? So it just really putting yourself in someone else's shoes can really help with the paradigm, because a lot of times you assume they should give me a loan. Why not? But then you look at a scenario and it's like you wouldn't have given yourself a loan. So so sometimes it's important to do exercises like that, so definitely that's important. Now, one thing you did in training for the franchising is you help franchisees become successful or more successful. And there are things that they needed to learn. What are those key things that they needed to learn that every business owner needs to learn, but people tend to have difficulty with?
Well, and I was the EVP of operations. So and I started, working with trading. So it was part of, my umbrella. And, when you are the franchisor and you're a good one, your whole job is enabling franchisees, business owners to excel. One of the key things that we saw, and obviously, I mean, Andrew, you're all about financing, finances and all of that. So, for us, there was a number of months of working capital and getting to break even, and then that lift from there. I mean, it was almost predictable based on the behaviors of the business owners, of the franchisees. And one of them that I found really important that I like to say is a lot of franchisees were in love with the business. They were in love with, I'm not going to name the franchise, but I've seen this in business in general, and we saw it too. They were in love with the product. And they were in love with the idea of having their own business. That's important too. What they weren't in love with, well, so two things happened there. When they would go to sell, they were so in love with their stuff that became how they were selling. Let me share how much I love my stuff. And they sort of missed out on, are we diagnosing the needs of whether it's B2B or B2C, are we setting aside, making that space between stimulus and response? Am I holding back my love of what I think you should have to really understand what your needs are and exactly meeting those needs? That was very big. And again, you heard me say earlier, I started my career in sales, and I have always believed that sales skills, our consulting skills, our leadership skills, and persuasion skill, are the best, and to be successful at a lot of things. And this idea of looking at the world from the buyer's point of view. So from the buyer's paradigm, whoever it might be. And so that's one thing, is to not be, as a business owner, totally and unconsciously in love with my stuff and think everybody should have it, but more in the business of helping your clients succeed. And I would say that somebody said to me the other day, somebody called me about doing a keynote. And I had one of my partners who, does, who sets all those up, was on the call with the client. And the client asked for something. And I said, well, there's good news and there's bad news. Let me do the bad news first. The bad news is I might not be a fit for you based on what I'm hearing you say. So let's just, I want you to know that. But having said that, let me tell you what the good news is. Here's the pieces that I think would work, but you have to decide what exactly you want out of this to see if I'm that right fit or you should be looking for somebody else. So the people on the phone were a little stunned because I wasn't trying to beat them over the head with, oh no, it's me kind of thing. And they realized I was much more interested in helping them succeed. Which really sets you apart from others. So those of you that are in businesses that are commodity businesses, and the franchise I was part of, total commodity. In this day and age, you not being in love with your stuff and thinking about things from the buyer's point of view and thinking about how am I helping the buyer succeed is a huge set of decisions and consciousness that will go a long way. While I'm talking about sales, point number 2 with our franchisees, that even in our discovery days, meaning when we would get together, is it a fit? If I saw them not have a sales mentality, and again, it depends on your business, but at the end of the day, you need customers. You got to talk to customers. And there were some people that were really stuck on, I need to cross my T's, dot my I's, and we couldn't get them out of the office. And I could see it coming. And then we saw it happen with some that we said, let's give it a shot. But if you want a successful business, then you have to spend a lot of time really thinking about how are we going after our customers? How are we marketing to them? And don't let current economic conditions slow down your marketing. I have seen lots of businesses go out of business because it's like, oh, there might be a recession, whatever. Let's cut back on marketing and sales. And it's the worst thing that you can do. So those are a couple of things, particularly around sales and business, that I think we really can step back and make some better decisions about if we need to.
Okay, excellent. So no, definitely. I always tell people that their most important job is sales and marketing,
Right.
because probably 90% of the problems most businesses I talk to about, despite what they think the problem is that they're not selling enough.
Right.
And so, that's really your job if you're a business owner. Most people didn't go in business to be a salesperson.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
So that makes it interesting. But if you want to be successful in business, you're going to need to figure that out. The good part is, the better you market, the easier it is to sell. And if you can get good enough at marketing, then you may not have to sell anymore. So, so definitely, developing your skills and really spending the time and effort doing those things is critical for the success of your business. You mentioned one thing that I really liked. People like fall in love with their product or with their business. And, I see that when I'm helping people with financing. I'll talk to them for like a half an hour and they won't mention one single number. Words are nice, but, the banker's not looking for words. The words aren't going to be the difference between you getting financed or not. So, it's important, like you said, to communicate what and how, the person you're communicating with wants to hear. So, so that point's really clear, from doing that as well. You talked about selling, you talked about how, with the selling, there's a lot of dimensions to what it takes to be able to sell successfully. And there's a lot more that goes into selling than most people think, and even marketing. I don't know if you have like a sales 101, like for, if there's like, if people have no clue, is there like a sales 101, few key tips that they should start with, trying to make sure they understand, to get them a little bit down the path?
Yeah, I think there are, and some people might be feeling sad right now because it's like, oh, I didn't go into business to sell, and but Andrew's right. I mean, it is key to do that, and the business can still be fun, but as it can be fun, rounded out. So I wasn't actually, my sister and brother-in-law are CPAs, and I didn't grow up with a numbers background. I learned it along the way, and ultimately took over the finance department, at my previous company. But it's really, if you don't know the numbers, know them really well, because it'll actually motivate you to sell. Just knowing where you need to be, what your expenses are, what drops out to the bottom line, and it sort of gets you sort of excited to go get some more of that. So and you can love your product and remember what I said, but it is about identifying people's needs and businesses' needs more than anything else. 101. I'll tell you one more thing about me. I am a raging introvert. I can get up in front of 10,000 people and speak. I love public speaking. I do it all the time. But when I'm done, I'm done. And I'm telling you that because I did have my own business. I was a business coach here in Tucson prior to working with FranklinCovey. So I actually was doing great at that. And FranklinCovey came along and sort of ended up doing that. And I sort of do this on the side a little bit. But the number one thing I had to do to grow my business, and I say this, I told the friend, I mean, was running a franchise. If I can't run my own business, that's been a problem. Networking. I don't like going to cocktail parties and B&I meetings and all of that. It's not that I don't like to. It's not my favorite thing to do. But it was key to building a business coaching business in a place where there were 1 million business coaches, right? So all the things that I said to you earlier were differentiators, but networking is key. So if you're not getting out there, you're making a mistake. And I know people now, I mean, it's a number of years, they are still 20, 30 years later, small business owners still are networking and really disciplined. My jeweler, my plumber, my graphic design. I mean, a lot of people here in Tucson is really a place of small business. So networking is number one. And even within networking, it's not like, hey, call me if you need me, but even how you network and how you talk to people and you really share with each other, hey, how can I help you out? And the rule of reciprocity kicks in, right? Tell me more about your business and what would be a good lead for you and, all those kinds of things. So networking. LinkedIn, the social media, if you're not fully engaged, you should be. And make it work for, again, I don't know what all of your businesses are. And I got to tell you, AI can be so helpful today. I'm not an AI expert by any means, but a couple of things. AI can help you with some of the tasks in your business. So it takes some of the load off of you, which we didn't have 20 years ago in my last company. I mean, it's just amazing watching that. And just really coming up with customers and what other businesses and, what's going on in their businesses. So just really doing the research and understanding and finding the right target for you as opposed to just spraying out there is really helpful as well. So networking, really getting to know your audience, finding those, not just cold calling, but really identifying those in the marketplace that would be helpful for you. And, I'm sure you've heard this. We talk about the value proposition. Who are you? Now, even at FranklinCovey, I was previous to this role, VP of Sales Enablement. So I worked with our global sales forces. And I would say to people, you're sitting on an airplane next to the CEO of a company, and they say, "Oh my goodness, FranklinCovey, the seven Habits people. Are you people still around? My grandparents read that book." And I would say to salespeople, "What do you say? What is it that's going to say that the CEO is going to go, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. I really should spend a little time with you. It sounds like you might be able to help my organization." So do you have that thing that when somebody says, "Why should I do business with you?" or "Who are you?" that you're not going, "Well, I'm a," whatever it might be, but you got to get really clear. And I remember when I had my business, I would be driving to a B&I meeting or whatever it might be, and I would be practicing over and over and over and make sure it just came out of my mouth unconsciously. And that, I got to tell you, really helps, because even in those meetings, standing up like, "Okay, Kory, here's your 2 minutes. Who are you? Who am I?" And I would, business elevations, that was my old business. And, and this is what we, how we help people, not this is what we do, but this is how we help other businesses. And I'll tell you what, even if you're a commodity, the confidence you have in being able to say, this is how we help people. And as a follow-on, here's how we differentiate from others without poo-pooing others, but your confidence in how you come across, even if it's saying the same thing as somebody else in your business, your confidence will gain you a lot. So I'll stop there, Andrew. That was a mouthful. Those are a few things to get people started.
Okay, no, that was great. Definitely, there's so much that can be learned about sales and marketing, and every business and industry that it's in is different. So it's good to learn as many strategies as possible, because you have to find what fits with your target market and your situation as well. But those things that you mentioned hold true. At the end of the day, you have to be able to communicate effectively. You need to be on LinkedIn. There's no excuse. And that you need to be able to network and build relationships, because relationships are the key to achieving success in this world. But you also mentioned something that was near and dear to my heart. You mentioned that you have to know the numbers, and it's important to know the numbers. And that's always a challenge for a lot of business owners. And actually, as of this year, we're able to do some things for business owners that we couldn't before, in terms of helping them to know their numbers. So I got a short video or two short videos about some things that we're doing this year that could be helpful if you're a business owner. Let me know if we can help you with these. So let's take a look.
Great.
You risk cash flow, tax, and profitability issues without timely, accurate financial records. Unfortunately, most business owners are not happy with their current bookkeeping situation. Many struggle with it themselves or have trouble finding the right help at a reasonable price. Even if you have a bookkeeper, there are often inaccuracies that can cost you money due to their lack of accounting knowledge and experience. Fortunately, it doesn't have to be that way. That's why I incorporated small business-friendly bookkeeping into our service offerings. We meet you where you are, whether you want to switch to save money or need us to clean up past issues, bringing everything current for tax and compliance purposes. Use the link below to schedule a complimentary discovery session to explore how we can help. Every great business owner needs an expert financial management team. As your business grows, you're going to need more comprehensive financial expertise to help you with these activities. Financing growth, managing cash flow, maximizing profitability, strategic planning and budgeting, accurate, timely information for decision-making, determining the appropriate staffing and inventory levels, and preparation for and analysis of potential opportunities. At this stage, you may not have the budget to hire multiple financial professionals from different firms. However, we can provide an outsourced team with over 100 years of experience in CFO, controller, accounting, tax, and bookkeeping to provide the expertise you need when needed. We will help you with your financial needs from A to Z. Whether you need bookkeeping, we will organize and enter your financial information. Accounting, we will provide accurate, timely financial reporting with analysis of key information and trends. Taxes, we will help you with tax preparation, reporting, and submission. Or CFO services, business strategy, financial projections, KPIs, or financing. We've got you covered from A to Z. Use the link below to schedule a complimentary discovery session. You have nothing to lose. Use the link below to explore how we can help.
All right, welcome. We're back here with Kory talking small business. Our topic tonight is shifting paradigms, the key to making better business decisions. And we're covering some great stuff. Now, Kory, you mentioned that you work with FranklinCovey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm familiar with that, but I'm kind of old. But for the young people, what is FranklinCovey, and what do you do, and why is it important?
Okay, well, thank you so much for asking that question. So sort of like asking the CEO on the plane, right? That's asking me. So now the CFO is asking that question. So a lot of people, as I said before, would say, oh, the 7 Habits or the Planner. Wasn't that a million years ago? Are you guys still around? And we are. And those two things, the planning system and the 7 Habits, became the springboard to who we are today. So the 7 Habits, we actually just released an updated version of it. Unbelievable. Has sold over 50 million books around the world. Over 100,000 people have been through our courses on it. But so really the springboard to us becoming one of the largest and most trusted leadership and performance improvement companies in the world. And I know that's a mouthful. So here's another tip for you. Don't say you're the best at anything. You better be able to back it up. And so just a little data around that. We do about 15,000 client engagements each year. We've touched the lives of 30 million leaders over the last 35, 40 years. We have helped about 5,000 organizations achieve what we like to call their wildly important goals, things that they thought they never could achieve out there. And we invest heavily in research and learning and development to the tune of $200 million every couple of years. That's not our revenue. That's just a small percentage of our R&D into continuing to develop content and technology so that people can learn how to best lead and be productive, both as individual contributors and leaders, in order to achieve desired results. So that's a little bit about us. We're in 160 countries around the world. And so that's us. Andrew, thanks for asking.
Okay, great. Well, I actually took one of your classes back when I was in corporate quite a few years ago, and with the planner and learning how to use that. And that, definitely being organized is key to being successful. So, I think that many times we think that new is better, but best practices are best practices in whatever area you are. And, that's one of the reasons why, I recommend business owners I work with read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. You read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, because, that's timeless information and knowledge. And, even in this environment with technology, pretty much everything they're saying still stands true and still works. So, so very, very important. So to, understand that and not just think that you have to run and do things that are new. You need to do things that work.
Right.
So I've got a question from the audience.
Okay.
What role does fear play in resisting change? And I'll add, and what are some ways to overcome it?
Yeah. So Mac, thanks for the question there. And I got some research for you, because in our work with change, which is one of the topics we help our clients with, in our work, we asked people from like 1,000 organizations, something changes in the organization. Our question was to them, so, how does that make you feel about, that for the organization? And 72% said, oh my gosh, it's going to be bad news. And 28%, said, oh no, it's all going to be good. But 72%, their first reaction was, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible. When we changed the question up and we said, well, how is that change going to affect you? The numbers went up to 88%, said, oh my God, it's going to be terrible. And it's their first reaction. It is a neurological absolute that our brains are not tuned into change as a good thing initially. That, again, if I go back into the neuroscience on that, our amygdala, the back of our brain, is there, and it likes routines. It wants to know what's going on in the world. So it gets us into a routine. It keeps us alive. And so when a change, all the changes that are going on out there today, when a change comes in, our brain is like, wait, what? And in most cases, fear takes over. And remember what I said before about a space between stimulus and response. We go and we get reactive. Oh my goodness, it's going to be terrible. We can't, it's not going to work. We don't have the resources. And again, as a business owner, are you what we call a reactive leader or a proactive leader when it comes to change and moving through things and situations? Because really this fear is the reactive part of our brain, not the proactive. It's a paradigm that we are unconsciously reacting to. So It plays a big role for a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people. And the idea is that when a change comes in, how do I step back, count to 10, take a deep breath? And honestly, you may have all those things. There are changes that go on in my world. And I'm like, what, really? Are you kidding? We have to do that? I don't say it though. I deal with those reactions, or I keep it in just my house, and I just give myself time. And like something came in right before I got on with Andrew, and I thought, I'm not even going to open it. I'm back to reaction, but it's a change that we're making about something. I thought I need to focus on Andrew and be the best I can be with you all, and I'm going to look at it later. But I know what the topic is, and I know I'm not going to respond to it till tomorrow morning. So change is constant. We talk about it all the time. We can get really good at it and turn change tension into opportunity and innovation if we step back, we understand the disruption, we think about it, we allow ourselves to get to the point of, we call it the point of decision, actually, where it's like, let me just explore, let me learn, let me clarify, let me learn about this change, even though I'm hyperventilating. All right, let me figure out what's in it for me. How do we do this? All right, maybe I'm in. Maybe I'm in. And I think about a new technology, right? It's like, oh gosh, I'm terrible at this, but we got to do it. All right, wait, maybe I can do it. And then we try to do it. We call this a zone of adoption.
Mhm.
We try to do it, right? And it's like, oh my God, that was terrible. I can't do this. And we slide back into disruption because we tried it once and we didn't get there. And this idea of the zone of what we call adoption is squiggly lines. It's like not just once, like step back, take a deep breath. Let me try. Let me know I know where I am. Let me keep at it. And then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, I got it right. I got it right finally. Maybe this is going to work out. And then we zoom into the zone of innovation because we get better and better at it because you're talented people. And we end up actually making that change even better for our business. But a lot of businesses go out of business because they can't deal with what we call the curve, the change curve that our brain has to go through. So I hope that answers that for you, Mac. It plays a big role for a lot of people, and we can step back, get very self-aware, get angry about it, get mad, but do it by ourselves or with a very close friend, and then walk yourself through the disruption, adoption, and innovation of the change, and take your team through it too.
Okay, excellent. And I think you talked about some great stuff, but as the business owner and leader, you almost have to have several paradigms to deal with change, because you have to deal with it yourself. And then the other thing is you have to help your organization deal with it. And I think, like you said, most change management projects in large and small companies fail,
right?
Because it's not easy. And as a small business owner, you're expected to do so many things, but you may not really have the experience, knowledge, and skill to do it effectively. But but some of the things that think about is, I'm probably sure you'd agree that uncertainty drives greater fear.
I would agree with that. And I've been talking to business owners, but I know a lot of your business owners obviously have staff. So there's a couple of, you have team members, and there's what you just said, Andrew, was really important, because when people come and say to me, hey, do you have anything on change for my leaders? My answer is we could, but they need to go through the part that's for anybody who qualifies as a human being. Because leaders need to go through understanding what I just went through, the fear that Mac was asking about, and how do we go into the zone of disruption through adoption, through innovation. I got to feel it. I got to do it. Once I understand that, now I need to figure out how to lead people through change, because that's another skill set. And it can be done. This isn't good. Like people are saying right now, how am I going to run my business? Kory's telling me to do all these things. It's an awareness. It doesn't take a lot of work. But honestly, you got to think about how am I telling my people about a change we're making in our systems and the business and whatever it is? How am I delivering the message? Am I just saying, hey, change and suck it up? This is what we're doing? Or am I thinking about it from an empathic point of view and thinking about it from a visionary point of view, thinking and preparing, like what's in it for them? How do I do this where I can show what's in it for them, et cetera? How do I lead them to help them through disruption when they're struggling? And then when they fail in adoption and they want to quit, how do I lead them and engage them and nurture them to help them through and be encouraging and celebrate small wins in order to get them through the change? It's an amazing return on investment for leaders to understand how to deal with change and all the things that we've been talking about to really help get the most out of your team members. Meaning, I don't mean beating it out of them, but when you help them through things like that and you say to them, listen, we made the change, and Andrew, you're so talented. Once you get through the change, you're going to find things about the technology that we didn't even think about yet. And I can't wait to hear that, because it's only going to help us, and help the business. And then people are really excited to go innovate. And that's what you want. You want agility.
Okay. No, definitely. I think, figuring out how to do it effectively. The hallmark of it is communication, because, you put yourself in someone else's shoes. They want to know as much as they can and understand where things are and where they're going. So being able to communicate that effectively, even if you don't know 100%, but to at least allay their concerns and address their concerns and see it from where they're seeing it.
It's back in the buyer's shoes, right? Yeah. Whether it's our team members or it's our customers, our team members are our customers also. And how do we help meet their needs and run the business to success in a balanced kind of way?
Right. And, you mentioned you have to be proactive rather than reactive. So, you can't wait for things to happen. You have to be on top of it. And just in business in general, if you're going to be a successful business owner, you need to be proactive, you need to be creative, and you need to be flexible. If things are happening, it's basically the difference between you running your business or your business running you.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think we could probably talk about this for like 5 hours. Not even scratch the surface of change management.
Yeah, could talk about this all day.
But this is, at least some good insights for people to really start to understand and start to develop their leadership, because it does take time, it takes experience, it takes education. An hour is just not enough time to cover all this. But I think we did cover some good things. But before I let you go, it would be great if you could share 3 key takeaways that people can utilize starting tomorrow to help them lead their organization more effectively. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to prepare, and I got some video about our upcoming events. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey area, you're welcome to join us. If you're not, you're welcome to come in. It's definitely be worth it. So here's a little bit about what we're doing. We're here at the Small Business Power Breakfast and Conference. Excited to say that we had a great day.
This event was a wow. Every panel, every speaker has had so much amazing content and good information to share.
This is a good day to put aside to come out and do some learning, but also make some great connections. The ones that I made were impactful.
Hi, I'm Andrew Frazier, masterpreneur and founder of the Small Business Pro University. For more than 10 years, our events have directly resulted in tens of millions of dollars in both revenue and financing for attendees. Join me at the Small Business Pro Power Conference on July 25th at NJ Pack's Nico Kitchen and Bar in Newark, New Jersey, to learn best practices, enjoy great networking, and gain useful knowledge. We will supercharge your day. I look forward to seeing you at the Small Business Pro Power Conference on July 25th in NJ Pack at Nico Kitchen and Bar in Newark, New Jersey. To learn more and register, visit www.sbprou.com/conference.
Okay, welcome back. I'm here with Kory talking small business. Our topic tonight is shifting paradigms, the key to making better business decisions. And we covered a lot of great stuff, but I know that it can be really difficult to remember more than three things. So we want to just sort of sum up the three key things that you should take away from tonight's session. So Kory, what are those three things?
So I'm going to cheat because I'm going to use what I said to start, that if we get very aware of the space between stimulus and response, so we get really self-aware about that and count to 10, then I'm going to give you the three things that you can do with that. Number one, I think that one of the biggest takeaways, if you are not selling and selling from the buyer's point of view, with the mindset, if you will, of helping your clients succeed, you should really think about how do you do a better job listening and learning about their needs. That's number one. Number two, Andrew mentioned this, but I think it's an amazing takeaway, is learning numbers about your business is not that difficult. I started to say earlier, if I could do it, anybody can do it. And it's really important that you're able to tell the business story to your team, because when they, cash is king and queen, right? And when they don't understand cash flow and they don't understand why you bought something, but you didn't buy something else, or, whatever, they can't get a raise and you don't know how to tell the story, that's a problem. So be able to tell the financial story and enlighten your team as well. It'll motivate them when they understand how the business runs as well. The third thing with this is, Andrew, you made me think about this saying, working on the business, not in the business. So we were talking about change and really being a leader, working with your team. You need to work on the business, and leadership is working on the business. You need to ask yourself, am I delegating enough? Am I getting all caught up in doing everything, or am I really utilizing my team in the right way and let them work in the business so you can work on the business? So those are three takeaways within this space between stimulus and response that we have control over. Andrew, I hope that helped.
No, that's excellent. That's excellent. So, you talked about having a space, and it's really about thinking before you do.
That's right.
I'm actually pretty good at it because I'm very methodical, but a lot of people sort of respond to stimuli immediately. So definitely it takes practice.
Practice.
One of my mentors used to say you have to pray for patience because, it's not easy.
Right.
Like you said, selling, super critical. If you want to be in business, you can't avoid selling. And that's really the key differentiator in terms of how you're going to be successful. Of course, learning numbers. You mentioned that, it's helpful to know them so you can communicate, but also given the title of our talk, if you don't know your numbers, it's really easy to make bad decisions.
That's right.
So that's key. And then working on your business rather than in it. And, that's one of the things I try and help people do. But most business owners never, ever do that successfully. And a big piece of it is you got to have numbers to be able to work, to have some facts to work on. So no, I think all those are critical. This has been a great discussion, and I appreciate you joining in tonight.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. It's been a pleasure, and I hope everybody out there is just wildly successful in whatever you're choosing to do in the world of small business.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Hang on for a minute as I close out. All right. So once again, definitely had a great guest, a great discussion, and that's what this is all about. I definitely appreciate everybody's comments as well. So thanks again for tuning in. Definitely, you talked about extraordinary productivity. That's definitely something that we talk about as well. And we've had some shows on. So we have a great archives on YouTube. So you can go back to any of our more than 200 shows as well. So definitely. And looking forward to next week as well. Next week's topic, we're going to be talking about selling more by answering questions before they're asked. Definitely in this day and age, you have limited time that people are going to focus on you and what you're doing. So the more effectively you communicate, the more effectively that you're going to be able to sell. So look forward to having Martha Krejci on the show next week and really diving into that topic. Definitely, it's been a great evening. And at the end of the day, as a business owner, the more that you know, the faster and more successfully your business is going to grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.